Ocean's 11 is the 1960 heist film starring a bunch of lads from the Rat Pack. We got Frank Sinatra, we have Dean Martin, we have Sammy Davis Jr., amongst others. It is directed by Lewis Milestone, who actually has a few massive films under his belt as well, and we are covering today on the Golden Hour Film Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Golden Hour Film Podcast. Yes, Ocean's 11, one of the most famous heist movies of all times. Older sibling. It is, certainly one of the films that we have covered. And when I say we, I'm not only referring to myself, but my co-host, not guest host, Shane Mulvaney. Shane, how are you? Have you woken up after watching Ocean's 11?
Just about all I'll say is God bless Steven Soderbergh, because if it wasn't for that guy, the words Oceans and 11 put together would only make me want to punch drywall 50 times over. This is such a boring film. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think this episode, hilariously, will be more akin to our Citizen Kane episode rather than others. I don't think there's any point in us trying to break down the plot of this. I think we're just going to riff on this film. Citizen Kane, we were doing it because the film is so amazing, and we just wanted to basically word vomit how much we love Citizen Kane. Ocean's 11 is one of the most pointless movies I've ever seen in my entire life. As you said in your Letterboxd review, as most people in history have ever said after watching this movie, this film only exists so that Frank Sinatra could hang out with his pals for a little while in Vegas. It is so boring. So little things happen in this 2 hour plus movie.
To be honest, I don't really have a problem with that if what you served up was an entertaining heist. How can you have a film where there's the whole plot revolves around 5 different heists happening concurrently at the same time, and you make it such a boring slog to get through? I don't understand. At least I've seen people say oh, Adam Sandler, all he does is make films with his mates. At least some of those are fun. Some of those aren't. Some of them are bad, but some of them are fun. This, it literally just exists as a way to stroke Frank Sinatra's massive ego, and for him to be allowed to, like you said, spend a few weeks in Vegas with his mates, probably gambling and doing other stuff besides that. It's not a good film. It's so boring. God bless Steven Soderbergh and George Clooney and Matt Damon and all that, the rest of that gang, because at least they turned this pile of SH1T into something that's actually cinematic and actually worthy of kind of what the effort that they put into it.
Yeah, so the Rat Pack, we may as well talk about the Rat Pack, because what else is there to talk about this movie? The Rat Pack are basically, for those who don't know, probably maybe the most famous friend group ever. That is essentially what they were. They were a group of friends who hung out. They were all A-list celebrities. It started off with the likes of Errol Flynn and Frank Sinatra, Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland and Nat King Cole going to Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall's house. That is basically what it was to begin with. It then, over time, kind of morphed and developed into a full-on production team that came out with this film. It's an interesting thing. I know that a movie has been made about them starring Ray Liotta, which I've not seen. I don't know if it's meant to be actually any good, but I would be interested to learn about the Rat Pack, because their ties stemmed from John F. Kennedy to all of Hollywood. They had a lot of power. Some of the most famous people of the 50s and 60s would actually be considered like Marilyn Monroe and Shirley MacLaine were dubbed the mascots of the Rat Pack, because they would just hang out with the Rat Pack. As well, funny note, just talking about Frank Sinatra's ego. Humphrey Bogart was the leader of the Rat Pack, if there is such a thing. He passed away, and then like 2 years later, I want to say, Frank Sinatra got engaged to Lauren Bacall. That whole thing then fell apart because Frank Sinatra. It's depending on whose side of the story you believe. I think the most common consensus is Frank Sinatra learned that someone leaked this engagement to the press, accused Lauren Bacall of it, and called off the engagement. I'm pretty sure what actually happened was one of Lauren Bacall's friends went to the press. Lauren Bacall didn't know about it, and as a result, Frank Sinatra started accusing her of X, Y, and Z. She didn't do it, so she obviously argued back, and then as a result, they broke up. Very famous breakup. But yes, the Rat Pack, as of 1960, which is when this came out, was basically Frank Sinatra and a bunch of his mates who could sing, who also thought they could throw their hand at acting. I think it's worth noting, Dean Martin's clearly a natural actor.
Yeah.
But besides him, like, I like Sammy Davis Jr., but I don't think he's a particularly good actor. And then I haven't seen the Manchurian Candidate, but supposedly Frank Sinatra's amazing in that. But yeah, I can't really comment on Frank Sinatra as an actor because he's totally bland and boring in this. The only one of the Rat Pack who in any way kind of comes across entertaining remotely is Dean Martin, for me anyway. But yeah, they tried their hand at acting. Some of them had massive acting careers. Some of them didn't. But yeah, the politics of the Rat Pack is definitely something I could see Netflix making a 5 out of 10 documentary on at some point soon. Yeah. But yeah, Shane, Ocean's 11, a spoiler-free review. It's kind of easy actually to talk about this movie without spoiling it because everyone kind of knows what happens. It's 11 blokes that go to Vegas and do a heist.
Yeah, that's it. Like, it's essentially the same story as the original, like with some obviously adjustments. But yeah, it's like 11 guys that are friends go to Vegas, pull off this big heist, and it's mainly about like the camaraderie and the bromance and the hijinks they get up to and the kind of the interpersonal banter, etc. To use that word,
male chauvinism.
Yeah, like exactly. Yeah, it's not really about the heist because like it's actually you could make a really fun film with this kind of a heist if you wanted. Like I said, you're ripping off the 5 biggest casinos in Vegas on New Year's Eve. Come on, like that's honestly, like, I would watch the shit out of that film like 100 times out of 100. But they just happen to make it the most boring version of what this could be. Like it's so it picks up a little bit in the kind of the final act once Cesar Romero comes into it because he actually has a personality and he's actually like not just out to like make
he's not just a bloke.
Yeah, he's not just out to make it look like him and his mates are having the time of their life. He's actually looking to kind of do a good job and try and act a little bit. And then the ending is pretty funny. I will say the ending is it's a funny.
The ending is savage. It's a disgrace that the last minute of this film is actually class.
The ending, like,
this film is so long.
This film does not deserve such a good ending.
No, it is such a class ending. It is. I don't know. I'd love to know. It's what 100 and how many minutes? 127 minutes, and 126 of them are so boring, and the last one. And this isn't exaggerating. The last 1 minute is unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's like the last shot of this film is amazing.
It's honestly genius. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant last 2 minutes. I'd stretch it to 2 because I'm trying to be generous. But yeah, no, I got what you're saying. Dean Martin, yeah, like it's funny because like I've only ever seen him I think before in Kiss Me Stupid, which surprise is a Billy Wilder film. Which actually, in fairness to him, like. Again, I wouldn't say it's a great performance, but he's very much lampooning his own public persona. So he's very much like taking the piss out of himself, which I always appreciate. And in this, like I wouldn't say again he has much acting to do, but
no. You just said he has charisma.
He has charisma, and he can actually hold like a scene or kind of hold a frame without looking like he's trying to think of what his next line should be. And there's like two or three musical performances, which again is just there to make it to show how good it is.
Literally, it's so wedged in.
Yeah, like there's no reason for it whatsoever. It's so drawn out. Like it'd be fine if it was 20 seconds of this song, but they do the whole song like about 3 different times. There's no reason for it. But like he's a good singer, so it is what it is. And at least it broke up the monotony of such a boring plot and all these performances, which half of them were just comically bad. Just it's not a good film, guys. I'm sorry.
The funny thing to me is, like, at least with Dean Martin's character, Sam, he's a Vegas club singer. That's his job.
That's true, yeah.
Sammy Davis Jr. is a bin man. How does he get a musical number? Why when we go to meet Sammy Davis Jr., is he stood on top of like a bin singing to the other bin? Like,
Yeah.
was that a thing? Was that a thing that happened in the 60s? Were there singing bin men? Like, it's so forced. It's so contrived. Shane, I hate to do this to you, but again, I would fail this myself. Looking straight down the camera, I want you to name the 11.
Oh man.
I want you to name.
No.
I want you to name the 11 in Ocean's
I
11.
refuse. There's Danny. There's Sam. There's Josh. I think is Sammy Davis Jr.
Yes, Sammy Davis Jr. is called Josh. Yes.
I'm done. I don't know. I pass.
Yeah. So, as far as characters go, it's kind of funny. I will now try my best to describe each character for you. Danny Ocean is played by Frank Sinatra. He's the leader. He wears jumpers. He's not very nice to women. Dean Martin is Sam, a Vegas club singer. These were all in the 42nd Air Battalion or whatever. This is how they all know each other. He is supposedly the smartest one because he is the only one who points out that this plan to rob these 5 casinos would only work in a movie, yet he still takes part. Josh, Sammy Davis Jr., is a singing bin man. His job is they are going to throw the money in the bin and he is going to collect it. That is a role which is better than most. Sorry, I was going to call him Jimmy Lawford, and I was mixing up his character and his real name. Peter Lawford, who was famously kicked out of the Rat Pack, controversial, plays Jimmy Foster, who is the money man in this film. He is the financier, I guess. I don't really know how he's the financier if that guy whose name sounds like asbestos is also kind of a money man. It's kind of weird. Also, let me backtrack. Danny Ocean, his whole shtick is he makes funny noises down the phone. He just keeps prank calling people. It wasn't funny the first time. Then we have Tony. Again, Tony is one of like 3 people who have a role. Tony is the electrician.
Yeah.
Who, again, as Dean Martin's character points out, how like this is only possible basically in a movie. His job is he switches the wires so that when the emergency generator kicks in, instead of turning on the lights, it opens all the safe doors. Yes, because that's possible. And from there, we have other members of the 11. Some of them we do meet at the very least. We meet Vince,
Yeah.
whose wife is called Honeyface. That is all I know about Vince, which is still more than most of the 11. Also, very funny scene whenever they go to scout. Vince, he's in a club, he works in a club, and his wife Honeyface is performing on stage, but before her is some woman who's just showing the crowd a snake. Like,
Yeah,
that is her whole act. She doesn't dance or anything. She holds it above her head, and they cheer. That's her whole act, is holding a snake above her head. Honest, genuinely possibly a nominee for best random side character is that one woman is just holding a snake above her head and everyone seems to be lapping that shit up. Good for her. We have Roger Cornell. Don't you remember Roger Cornell?
Vaguely remember the name, that's why.
His whole point in being in the 11 is to find Tony.
I remember that guy Might be the worst actor of the lot, to be honest with you.
You
If
said again?
I think that guy might be the worst actor of all of them, if I'm not mistaken. If it's the guy I
He's
think
played
of,
by Henry Silva. He's like the tall
yeah,
guy with the full head of
yeah,
hair.
he's not a good actor. He's not a good actor.
No. We have Curly. Because if Harry Corneel's job wasn't good enough, Curly's job is to find Dean Martin at the airport and greet him. That is Curly's job in this bank heist. He is one of those guys who holds up an airport sign to say welcome, but he doesn't bring a fucking sign. He just goes, Sam! And Dean Martin turns around and he's kind of like, who the fuck is this guy? Which I'd love to think is actually Dean Martin's reaction to seeing this man for the first time. If you think that I haven't named 11 people, that's because I haven't. I have no idea who those other guys were. They just like get to the point where they're doing why is it called it doesn't have to be 11. Why is it called Ocean's 11? Why wouldn't they just do Ocean's 6 with the 6 characters? Why do they have to do Ocean's 11 where they're around a pool table and 55 minutes into this film the rich guy starts explaining the plan. He kind of lays Danny up and Danny explains the rest of it, and we just pan around the table and there's like 5 guys
that
who we've never seen before, who are just there too. Yeah, we don't see them again. Why did this have to be Ocean's 11? I don't understand. Like someone just thought, oh, Ocean's 11, we need 11, we need 11. What about Ocean's 7? No, 11. It has to be Ocean's 11. We'll just find 5 other guys. We'll throw them in there. But yeah.
Obviously, we see them again, but they literally, I don't think, have a line of dialogue between them.
No, genuinely not. Their roles are, again, an amazing plot contrivance. Yeah. So the plan is, at the end of Auld Lang Syne, they're going to cut the power in Vegas by blowing up these big towers. And then they are going to, in the dark, rob these 5 casinos, which Tony has rigged the wires so that all the doors will just magically open. So they use infrared paint to highlight the pathway a day before, which is just hilarious to me because, one, they have torches on them. Like, surely if you're going to rob 5 of the biggest casinos in Vegas, you are at least able to memorize a fucking hallway. Like, the fact that they need these visual indicators, it's entirely just to make the shots not boring when the doors open. That is entirely why they've done this. But also, if you're using infrared paint, surely you use the infrared paint to highlight what bins Josh is to collect.
Yeah.
Because, like, instead of him having to like actually empty every single bin until he finds these 5 bags, surely you just do a little tag on the 5 bins that the money is in after you steal the money. Such an amazing plot contrivance. So stupid. And then the plan is something along the lines of he then empties the bins once they get the cash and put it in them. He drives away, takes the money out of the bins. They hide it somewhere. And then they all meet up. The rest of the plan is kind of murky, but intentionally so because it leads to the amazing ending, the amazing last minute of the film. But yeah, as far as the heist goes, even the heist is so boring, and the only highlight of the heist is that Shirley MacLaine has a drunken cameo, and she is pretty funny, and she kisses Dean Martin for no reason, at all. It's just there. Again, she was an associate of the Rat Pack. It was definitely just they were probably hanging out one day and she goes, oh, I'll be in that if you want, and Dean Martin goes, cool, I'll come up with a part for you. So
literally,
and that's what happened.
Literally.
Yeah.
It's probably the only fun scene for like a good, I was gonna say a good half an hour. It's probably like the second best scene of the film in a way. It's like it's got nothing to do with the plot whatsoever, but it's just like at least it breaks up the monotony of this boring ass plot. Yeah, it's it's such a slog to get through. I don't even really want to go through the whole heist because, like you said, it's way more, it's way less kind of impressive cinematically than it should be. Finally, we get past that, and Jimmy, I think it's Jimmy's mother, is dating a guy called Santos, who's played by Cesar Romero. Finally, things
Joker from Batman '66.
Who Duke Santos, who finally things at least start to happen. So obviously Tony Bergdorf, the electrician, he actually gets shot. No, sorry, he has a heart attack.
No, he has a heart attack.
Yeah.
He is like a Simpsons character.
Yeah.
He is so unintentionally hilarious because the whole film, he just gets out of prison and he meets his son for like the first time. And he's like, I'm going to be a good dad. And then he finds out in the next scene that he has like a terminal illness. And then he's like, oh no, now I have to find money or whatever to raise my kid. Put my kid through college. So then he goes out of the doctor's office and one of the indiscriminate 11 is sat outside being like, are you sure you don't want to join the heist? And then he's like, well, I'm very unlucky. And my God, is he unlucky because he has a heart attack as soon as he gets out of the casino and dies in the street.
As soon as the heist
hilarious.
Is over. He goes full Walter White, uses cancer diagnosis to try and earn some money for his family through like illegal means. And then he just... can't even like if it wasn't for him the whole heist would not even be possible, and then he just ups and dies in the middle of the street. But yeah, finally Duke Santos, who's like a kind of a big hitter in Vegas, he's like he has connections with
he's
all
a reformed gangster, I think.
Yeah, like he has connections with all the casinos, and it's kind of implied that maybe he made his fortune through less than legal means. And by the way, Jimmy's mom has a lot of money too. Jimmy does not need to be doing this heist. He just wants to do it for the hell of it, just for the thrill of the action, I suppose. Maybe to try and prove something, whatever. But yeah, once Duke learns that kind of a lot of Jimmy's kind of army mates are in town at the same time, he's like, that's weird. So the dead guy's an army vet, and then he's slowly piecing together, right? That guy knew Jimmy, and then this guy also would have known Jimmy. So I think the penny finally drops, and yeah, once he finally realizes, because he had agreed to work for the 5 casinos, to get the money back on the proviso that he would be allowed 30% of the take. He'd be given 30% of the recovered money once it was recovered. But then once he finally puts it all together, he goes and pays Danny and stuff a visit, and he's like, listen, I want half. Either give me half the money now, or...
What's so funny about this is that it's such Frank Sinatra's fucking ego that Cesar Romero goes to Danny Ocean instead of his fucking stepson for this scene.
Yeah.
Like, instead of going to his own stepson and being like, I'm blackmailing you, stepson. No, he has to go to Frank Sinatra because Frank Sinatra's the leader, goddammit. He's the leader. It's not Humphrey Bogart, it's Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. So that's the ultimatum he gives them. He wants half, or else he's going to spill the beans, because obviously 50% is greater than 20%. Not for you know that. But yeah, Jimmy's agitated. They think that Jimmy's actually sold them out, but then they realise he hasn't. But then they go and have a funeral for Bergdorf, but because he's obviously a vet, the American Legionnaires have offered to kind of serve at the funeral as like pallbearers and stuff. But wouldn't you know, they've actually hidden the money in Bergdorf's coffin.
Yes.
Because obviously no one's going to look at a dead guy's coffin. No. So, what's funny about that?
They are so lucky that it was a closed casket funeral for a man who had a heart attack.
It's so funny.
What?
I think it's it's actually it's Josh who actually takes $10,000 because he wants to mail it to his family, which is a nice gesture, obviously. But then they obviously hide the rest of the money in Bergdorf's coffin, so they all go to the funeral once they realise, oh shit, the Legionnaires are there. We need to go to this funeral to make sure nothing happens to the money. Duke arrives at the church and he obviously realises the money is there. And then announcement over the tannoy, ladies and gentlemen, the body is about to be cremated.
Yeah, no, so what happens is they're sat there and they can hear this really loud noise, and one of the lads goes to the other lad,
yeah,
what's that sound? And he just says in passing, oh, the body's being cremated. And then you can just see the penny drop, and the camera just pans at each member just looking over at the other one with absolute disgust. It is an unbelievable last line of dialogue for this film.
It's such a good ending. It does not deserve this ending. This terrible film does not deserve this ending. But it's great.
Such a class ending.
It's a great ending. It's definitely a phenomenal ending.
Yeah, the final shot of the film is these dejected losers walking out of their mate's funeral who died for no fucking reason, and they all just drop as the credits roll. It is an incredible final shot. It is so great. Yeah, this movie is so bad, but unfortunately, it's not so bad that it's good. Like, it's not an entertaining bad film. It's bad because it's boring. Yeah, highlights include and are probably limited to Cesar Romero trying, Dean Martin having a level of charisma, Shirley MacLaine's cameo, that woman who held a snake above her head, and the last minute of the film. Is there anything besides that that's good, Shane?
No, I think you've nailed everything. Yeah, I really can't think of anything else. Bad film. Don't watch it. Don't go out of your way to watch it. Do yourself a
No,
favour and do
it's
not watch the
such a
film.
slog.
It's a bad film. It's so boring. It couldn't be more boring, really. Oh, it's so bad. Apart from a great ending. If you want a great payoff, if you want to sit through,
To a shite film.
if you want to sit through over 2 hours of absolute slop, just a massive ego stroke for Sinatra and his mates. But then you also want a great ending at the end. Okay, fair enough. Watch it in that instance, but otherwise, stay the hell away from this film. It's so bad.
So, Shane, it's customary that I ask you this question. Shane, Ocean's 11, is it any use?
No, it's no use whatsoever. Apart from the ending, stay away. Stay away.
Yeah, I gave this monstrosity, somehow I gave it 2 stars, which feels so generous. But, like, it's such a good ending.
That's it. If it wasn't
It's
for
such a class ending. If it wasn't for that ending, this would be the worst film that we've ever covered on the podcast.
I agree.
I think because of the ending alone, it still edges under Capricorn and the parodying case. And we covered one other stinker.
Mr. and Mrs.
What
Smith.
was it? Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I would put this above those films. Yeah. I'd put it above. I put it above those three, entirely because of the ending and those few minor positives. Yeah. I don't understand. Like, I do and I don't. But how do you make a hangout film that's boring? Like, it. It's meant, like, if you're just making a film about you and your mates having the crack, put some effort into the writing and make the jokes funny.
Yeah.
None of the jokes land. Like, it's such an unfunny movie. Frank Sinatra's character, Danny Ocean, could not be less funny. He's just an all round bit of a dick. Like, even there's a weird side plot where this woman fancies him. He fobs her off, but doesn't really fob her off. And he's also married. So then when they're in Vegas, the woman tries again with Danny Ocean, but he's too busy doing the heist, so he fobs her off again. So then she calls his wife. And just to basically totally undermine his wife's character, she backs Danny, who's in Vegas with this woman, and is just like, oh, well, if you're such a loser for calling me, I know my Danny would never do anything. And if anything, this phone call makes me love him even more. And then we never see him again. Her whole character is basically just to serve that Frank Sinatra's character, Danny Ocean.
So cool.
Women are obsessed with him. They're obsessed with him. That is the only reason that she exists. Such a terrible character. Like, God loved the woman who played her, whose name I don't even remember.
Angie Dickinson.
Because, yeah, she was handed an absolute, like, just dross character, just a non-character. There isn't a performance that can save a character like that, because the dialogue and the motives of the character are just so bad, like, just so obviously serving Frank Sinatra's ego.
Yeah, it's 100%. And she's a good actress. She was in Point Blank with Lee Marvin. She's in Rio Bravo, if I'm not mistaken. She's been in lots of good movies and worked with lots of good directors. But yeah, like, this does not save her whatsoever, this script. Yeah, look, she's one of a number of casualties. If it wasn't for the Shirley MacLaine cameo and the Dean Martin ain't that a kick in the head performance at the casino, which is way too long, but is at least entertaining. This would literally be...
It's a nice interlude from the shite film.
Yeah, at least it's a break from, like, just monotonous, boring crap that we've been served up. Terrible film. I don't even really want to talk about it anymore. It's so bad.
Yeah, well, next week and the week after, we're definitely covering better heist films. And of course, last week we did cover The Asphalt Jungle, which is a phenomenal heist film. Next week, we are covering Bonnie and Clyde, one of the most important, famous, synonymous films with the new Hollywood era, starring Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty. Again, probably another film akin to Ocean's 11, which is just like kind of transcended itself as to like how famous it is, but for better reasons. This is famous because it is Frank Sinatra and his mates doing the Steven Soderbergh movie. I obviously know that it came out before, but that as a result, this is like a very famous classic film that exists. Not necessarily a lot of people have seen it, but most people know that this film exists. Same with Bonnie and Clyde, but for totally different reasons. Bonnie and Clyde is an iconic film from the late 60s, 1967. But yes, in the meantime, this has been the rather short episode of the Golden Hour Film Podcast, where we have covered Ocean's 11. Cesar Romero, we will do you justice. I promise you. Batman 66 will come to this channel. I promise you all. As a matter of fact, out of interest, initially the idea came about with the Twilight Zone, but that's so long. But I do wonder, for those of you watching or listening at home, if there's any classic TV series, such as Adam West's Batman, that you would maybe want to see videos on, or a series on dedicated to watching classic TV. Let us know what classic TV series you'd want us to watch. Just as an idea, throw them in the comments. Any classic TV series, preferably anthology series, so that we could pick and choose episodes. But the classic Superman serials, Batman 66, Twilight Zone, etc. Let us know if there's any classic TV series that you'd want to see us cover in some sort of bonus capacity, because next year, moving forward and stuff, we'll definitely try and kind of up the content, so to speak. So if there's anything classic TV related that you want to see as maybe a spin-off, let us know in the comments below, or in the comments on Spotify. And I don't think you can comment on podcast episodes on Apple Podcasts. We are only new there. We don't really know our way around. But thank you to everyone who's left a 5-star review so far. I've seen all 5 of you. Thank you very much. But in the meantime, this was the Golden Hour Film Podcast episode where we covered Ocean's 11. Thank God that is in the past. I've been Harry Bailey.
I've been Shane Mahoney.
And we will see you next week for an infinitely better movie, Bonnie and Clyde. Goodbye.